Yeah, hello. Yes, good evening. Hello. Hello, are you all ready? Let's start our live classes. So yes, you can start your questions regarding Julius Caesar and his poems. Or if you want, I can start with Julius Caesar. So this revision is for 2026 ICSE students who are to appear for their boards. So let's start with Julius Caesar because I think for y'all this Julius Caesar or Shakespeare is really a thorn. So in Julius Caesar, as I have already told in my videos, that Act 3 for y'all and Act 4 is more important. And especially Act 4, because it has not come last year. Act 3, Scene 2, and Act 5, Scene 1, they have come. So, as such, Act 3, Scene 1 is very important, where Julius Caesar is assassinated. So, I will go through the extracts which are important. Regarding Act 3, Scene 1, you are well aware that this is the scene where Main protagonist Julius Caesar is assassinated. So when Julius Caesar comes to the capital, he is surrounded by the conspirators. And you have already seen that how they tried to prevent anyone from coming close to Caesar. And Caesar, he tried to act very high and mighty and very great also. And this gave the conspirators an opportunity to come and surround him. And then first Brutus comes, he pleads to Caesar. Caesar is shocked that Brutus should approach him because Brutus should be knowing Caesar better. And then Cassius comes, and after that, one by one, all the conspirators they come and surround Julius Caesar. Actually, they needed an opportunity to come close to him. And then we find the speeches of Julius Caesar, which shows his arrogance. And this this makes the public also feel that Caesar is arrogant. This is what the conspirators will try and prove to the people regarding Caesar's arrogance, that if he was live, if he was alive, and if he had been allowed to become the king, he would have made them his slaves. So, and then Casca, he gives the first blow to Caesar. One by one, all the conspirators stab a shocked Caesar. And finally, it is Brutus. And this shocks Caesar the most. Why? Because Caesar considered Brutus to be his guardian angel, and that Brutus should be one of the conspirators broke his heart, and then he did not have the wish to live any longer. So, and so he gave up the struggle and he fell to the ground. Et tu, Brute, the most famous line. Then falls Caesar. So after this, there is a state of chaos. The public, they cannot believe that the most powerful man had been assassinated in front of them. Even Mark Antony, who had been led away by Metellus, sorry, who had been led away by Trebonius, he also feels shocked and he rushes to his home. And then we find the conspirators, they want to go to the public platform and tell the people the reason for their killing Caesar. And in the meantime, we find Mark Antony, most probably he must have collected himself and he sends his servant to tell Brutus that he wants to meet him if he gets the assurance from Brutus that he will be unharmed. Brutus gives him the assurance, and then Mark Antony comes in front, face to face with the conspirators. So the Brutus takes the charge of explaining to Mark Antony why they killed Caesar. And then Mark Antony, he hides his real feelings. In his heart, there is an anger for the conspirators and a great desire for revenge. But he hides it and tries to be friends with the conspirators, or rather pretends to be friends with the conspirators, just to know the reason why they killed Caesar. Because he has to plan his moves according to the reason they offer. So, full Act 3, Scene 1, each and every part of it is important. Though I will point out some extracts which you will go through again and again, so that you are able to answer. If this question comes from Act 3, Scene 1, you will be able to answer them better. So let's go to it. So the first one, which shows Caesar's arrogance. So when Metellus Cimber comes and he approaches Caesar, Caesar knows very well why Metellus Caesar has come, because the previous day Caesar had banished his brother Publius Cimber. So now Caesar tells that I must prevent you. Why? Because he knows the reason. So the extract which is very important in this context, I must prevent the Cimber. Up till will he be satisfied? So here we find Caesar in an arrogant mood. He tries to show that he is different from common people because he will not change the order or the punishment that he has given. So these lines are important. These couchings, these lowly curtsies might fire the blood of ordinary men and turn preordinance and first decree into law of children. So, what does he mean by law of children? Children's laws, when they play their games, children's laws, they keep on, it keeps on changing every day. So today, one law, tomorrow, another law. But this cannot happen while running a state, while in the administration of a country, this thing cannot happen. And then another extract is that thy brother by decree is banished. In the same speech, you will find, if thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spurn thee like a cur out of my way. Up till no Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied. So, this is a very important speech. And then when Cassius comes also, so he keeps on saying in his typically irritating manner, pardon Caesar, Caesar, pardon. So, this speech of Caesar, I could be well moved if I were as you. If I could pray to move, prayers would move me. But I'm constant as the northern star. This part is very important. I'm constant as the northern star. So, why does he compare himself to the northern star? So, they might ask you a question of whose true, fixed, and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. The skies are painted with unnumbered. So, there are two comparisons here. First is of the star, and then he compares the world of men. So, in the same way as there are lots of stars in the sky, but the northern star is fixed, it remains in its place. So, there is a similarity. All the stars, they are all fire, they all shine. They all shine, but the northern star remains fixed in its place. So, this is the difference. In the same way, the world is filled with the world is filled with a lot of human beings. But what is the difference between them? They are all flesh and blood, but the difference is that not all are constant. There is only one who is constant like the northern star, and that is none other than Caesar. So just see this one. Let me unshaked of motion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it, even in this, that I was constant, Simba should be banished, and constant do remain to keep him so. So these are the important extracts. This is the second one. And after they kill Caesar, you will find Brutus's speech. And also before that, yeah, Brutus, fates, we will know your pleasure. So you can get this also as a reference to context. And when Cassius says, why he that cuts off 20 years of life cuts off so many years of fearing death. So this can come, or the next part where Brutus says, grant that, and then is death a benefit? So are we Caesar's friends that have abridged his time of fearing death? Stoop Romans 2. Let us bathe our hands in Caesar's blood up to the elbows, and besmear our swords, then walk we forth even to the marketplace. So this one up till peace, freedom, and liberty. So go through these very well. The explanations have already been done in my videos. And let me warn you, you are not getting straightforward questions. Thoughtful questions where you will need to use your brains. So you will be getting, I'm not trying to frighten you, but you will be getting these type of questions. If you go through the specimen also, you will find. Next one is what the servant tells. I mean the servant of Mark Antony. Mark Antony has told him what to say, and then he has sent him to Brutus. So these words are actually not the servants, but it is Mark Antony's. He is afraid to face the conspirators because he doesn't know how they will react. So he sends his servant first and wants assurance from Brutus. So this speech, thus Brutus did my master did me kneel, thus did Mark Antony bid me fall down, and being prostrate, thus he bade me say. So these are the things Mark Antony has instructed. Brutus is noble, wise, valiant, and honest. Caesar was mighty, bold, royal, and loving. So a comparison between Brutus and Caesar. And then Mark Antony has told the servant to say what are his feelings for Brutus and what are his feelings for Mark Antony. Say, I love Brutus and honor him. So, love and honor for Brutus. Say, I feared Caesar, honored him, and loved him. So, for Caesar, fear, honor, and love. For Brutus, honor and love. But for Caesar, another element is added, fear. Why? Because Caesar was high and mighty. And after that, through the servant, it's actually Mark Antony wanting to know from Brutus and the conspirators why Caesar was killed. So, if they can give him sufficient reasons, then Mark Antony will follow Brutus through all difficult stages. And then Mark Antony comes. O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? This is a very important one. Are all thy conquests? So this one up till the choice and master spirits of the age. So in this, what do we see? That he wants to know if Mark Antony is also in their hit list. If so, he says that it's no problem. If you want to kill me, this is the best time. This is the best place to lie beside Caesar. And also the best weapon, because these weapons, they have the blood of Caesar. So if you get an extract from this speech, you might be asked, why does Mark Antony say that this is the best time for him to die? This is the best place and best weapon. Why does Mark Antony say? Or you can get a question, why does Mark Antony tell the conspirators to go ahead and kill him if he is also in their hit list? Because he explains that getting killed by you is an honor because you are the choice and master spirits of the age. So, as I said, go through this speech very well and the next one of Brutus. Oh, Antony, beg not your death of us, though we must appear bloody and cruel, as by our hands, and this our present act you see we do. Yet you see but our hands in this bleeding business they have done. Our hearts you see not. They are pitiful, and pity to the general wrong of Rome. As fire drives out fire, you might get an explanation for this. You might be asked to explain what does he mean. As fire drives out fire, so pity, pity. So if you get a question or if you are told to explain, you will write that in the same way as a small fire is swallowed by a bigger fire, in the same way, pity for one person is swallowed by the pity for the people of Rome. So pity for Caesar has been swallowed by the pity, by the feelings of pity for the people of Rome. And then they assure Mark Antony that regarding you, our swords are blunt. And again, Mark Antony, another important, very, very important. I doubt not of your wisdom. And then just see the irony in the line. Let each man render me his bloody hand. First, Marcus Brutus will I shake with you. So he wants to shake hands with the conspirators. But that is against his will. That is against his will. He really has no intention. He is pretending to be friendly with you. Why? Because he needs to know what is behind the murder of Julius Caesar. So one by one, he shakes hands with all of them. And yes, this is also an important line. Alas, what shall I say? So, as if he is embarrassed, he doesn't know what to say. My credit now stands on such slippery ground that one of the two bad ways you must conceive me, either a coward or a flatterer. So, what does he mean by this? See, if he says that I want to join you. I have great feelings for you. In that case, he will be considered a flatterer, flatterer or a coward. Why a coward? Because if he says, I love Caesar, but I want to join you, then he's a coward. Yeah, why? Because uh, he is afraid that the conspirators might kill him, and that is why he has come to join hands with the conspirators. And if he says that I did not love Caesar, in this case, he's a flatterer because when Caesar was alive, he was always the yes man of Caesar. You must have noticed that in Act 1, Scene 2, when Caesar calls out to Mark Antony and tells him to touch Calpurnia. So he says, whatever Caesar says will be done. So we find that Mark Antony has put himself in a difficult situation. And it is his embarrassment. I don't know whether I will be called a flatterer or a coward. And then he tells the corpse of Caesar that Caesar, it is a fact that I did love you. If then thy spirit look upon us now, shall it not grieve thee dearer than thy death to see thy Antony making his peace, shaking his bloody fingers of thy foes? Sorry, shaking the bloody fingers of his foes means enemies. Most noble in the presence of thy corse. Had I Had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds, weeping as fast as they stream forth thy blood, it would become me better than to close in terms with friendship with thine enemies. Pardon me, Julius. So, though he comes and offers a friendly hand towards the conspirators, but he speaks his mind out. He says, what will Caesar think of me? That in front of his dead body, I am shaking hands with his enemies who have brought about his death. And then he asks forgiveness from Julius Caesar. And even this can come as an extract, the last few lines. Here wast thou bait, brave heart, here didst thou fall, and here thy hunters signed in thy spoil and crimsoned in thy death. So this whole extract from where I started, this is important. You can get a question from here also. So who is compared to the heart? The first heart is HART. Heart here means a deer. And the second one, O world, thou wast the forest to this heart, and this indeed the world, the heart of thee. So second heart means the most vital organ in our body, the stopping of which will make us dead. So Caesar is compared to the heart of the world. So heart wide, that means in the same way as the princes, when they go hunting and they kill a deer and they surround him. So Caesar lies dead with the conspirators surrounding his body. And why is Caesar compared to the deer? Because Caesar was defenseless. At the time when they attacked him, all of them, they attacked him with their daggers. So that is why he is compared to the defense stag or the deer or the hart, HART, heart. But here, see, this indeed, O world, the heart of thee. So he tells that Caesar was the most vital person in this world because the heart is the most vital part in our body, the most vital part. When the heart stops, life ceases. So, how like a deer? So, again, instead of using the word HART, heart, he has used the word deer. How like a deer struck by many princes, lost now here life. So, go through this speech very well. This is a very important speech. After that, there are small, small speeches. And when Mark Antony asked from Brutus the permission to speak at the funeral of Caesar. So this extract, that's all I seek, and moreover, suitor, that I may produce his body to the marketplace, and in the pulpit, as becomes a friend, speak in the order of his funeral. So here we find that Mark Antony has put forward a very difficult request to speak in the marketplace in front of the people. So Cassius, who is the farsighted among them, farsighted among the most farsighted among the conspirators, he senses danger. So he wants to have a talk with Brutus. He wants to have a talk with Brutus. But Brutus, we find, is overconfident at this time. He feels that if I explain the reasons for the death of Caesar, after that, whatever Mark Antony says will be of no importance. So he just overrules the warnings of Cassius. But the conditions he gives to Mark Antony, this you might be asked in a question. What are the conditions that Brutus puts in front of Mark Antony so that he may be allowed to speak in Caesar's funeral? I will myself into the pulpit first, first one. So this is the first condition. By the way, don't pronounce it pulpit, Pulpit, pulpit. So I will myself, pulpit means a public platform where, like the marketplace, also you have a public platform where people go and speak to the audience. So first condition, I will myself in through the pulpit first and show the reason of our Caesar's death. So why will he go to the pulpit first? Because he wants to explain to the people why they killed Caesar. But Anthony shall speak, I will protest. He speaks by leave and by permission. So he assures Cassius, don't worry, Cassius, I will first speak, convince the people, and after that, Mark Antony, and I will also say that Mark Antony is speaking because we have given him the permission to speak. So whatever he says will be of no use. And not only that, and then he will also not undermine the achievements of Caesar. and nor shall he highlight his wrongs. And he feels in this way, in rather than harming us, it will be an advantage. And then see what he tells Mark Antony. Mark Antony, here, take you Caesar's body. So, first condition, you shall not in your funeral speech blame us. Second one, but speak all good you can devise of Caesar. So, whatever good of Caesar you want to say, go on speaking. We have no objection to your speaking good of Caesar, but don't speak evil of us. Don't speak bad things about us. Don't blame us. And when you speak all things good of Caesar, say that we have given you permission to speak. If you don't agree to this, we are not giving you any hand. Regarding Caesar's funeral. And you will also speak in the same pulpit where I'm going to speak. So, through this, he is trying to safeguard himself and the other conspirators. So once they leave, we find the real Antony, the Antony who is a devoted follower and friend of Caesar. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth. So this speech, again, this whole speech, you can get an extract from any part of this one. Why? Because here we find the Antony who is angry at the death of Caesar. He is full of revenge. He has thrown out his pretense. And not only that, we find him predicting what is going to happen to Rome on account of this unjustified killing of Caesar. So you might get a question, what are the predictions of Mark Antony regarding what will happen to Rome? So Caesar's spirit will be hungry for revenge with goddess 8 by his side. And yes, there will be a civil war in Rome. And not only that, so horrible, horrible thing. Like mothers laughing at the when their sons are killed, when their children are killed. Why? Because they will get so accustomed to bloodshed. So, as I said, this is a very important one. From any part of this speech, you might get an extract. And the last one, where he tells the servant to go and warn Octavius Caesar, tell him not to come immediately. Why? Because he wants to go to the public. He wants to see how they react to his speech, and only then will he ask Octavius Caesar to come to Rome. So, what does he mean by this? He feels that if I'm able to convince the public that Caesar has been killed unjustifiably, an injustice has been done to him, then only will I tell Mark Octavius Caesar to come to me. Otherwise, Rome is at this moment not safe for him because Rome at this moment is in the control of the conspirators. The people are in a state of panic. So that is why he doesn't want the He doesn't want Octavius Caesar to come to Rome. Why? Because he feels that Octavius Caesar also might be killed the same way as Caesar has been killed. So this is where your Act 3, Scene 1 comes to an end. As I told you, it's a very important one. Act 3, Scene 2, I don't think that it is important because it has come last year and ICSE, if you go through the question papers, you will find that it does not repeat. So Act 3, Scene 2, and when there are important scenes like Act 3, Scene 1, so I don't think Act 3, Scene 2 is coming. But so the next very important one, or as I said, Act 4, regarding Act 4 is very important. And in Act 4, Scene 1, we find in Antony's house, they have made a list of who are the ones to be assassinated, whom they feel are dangerous for the republic. And we find that these people are ruthless. They have formed the second triumvirate: Mark Antony, Octavius, and Lepidus. And this is a different Antony from the one we see in Act 3, Scene 2. In Act 3, Scene 2, we find a devoted friend angry at the death of the unjustified killing of his friend, and he wants revenge. But in this scene, Act 4, Scene 1, we find a cunning and a uh, greedy power seeker. He is ready to sacrifice people, members of his family, in order to grab power. So when Lepidus says, upon condition Publius shall not live, who is your sister's son Mark Antony? So what does Mark Antony say? He shall not live. Look, with a spot, I damn him. And why does he need the once Lepidus leaves also, we find what a wicked person Antony is. Here he wants to do away with Lepidus once they have got the power in their hands. Why does he keep Lepidus? Because he needs Lepidus to do the odd jobs, so that when the blame comes, the blame will fall on Lepidus. Octavius Caesar is not of the same opinion. He values Lepidus. He says that Lepidus is a trained soldier. He is a brave and trained soldier. So you can be asked to mark or write Mark Antony's opinion of Lepidus. So first he says, this is a slight, unmeritable man, meet to be sent on errands. Is it fit the threefold world divided, he should stand one of the three to share? So he points out that Lepidus is just a person, he's like a servant, only fit to be sent on odd jobs, small jobs. So is it really right that when the whole world we get the power? in our hands, we should share it with him. That means he wants to share power only with Octavius. And why Octavius? Why cannot he do away with him? Because Octavius is the heir of Julius Caesar and he needs Octavius. So, because he is Julius Caesar's grandnephew, and as such, he is the one more acceptable to the people. And then when Octavius is quite annoyed, he says, "You may do your will," but he is a tried and valiant soldier. So we find Octavius, though he is young in years, but at the same time, he knows how to speak his mind in front of Mark Antony. He is not in awe of Mark Antony. But Mark Antony, regarding Octavius, he compares him first to an ox, to a horse. And then also, he once compares him to an ass. So, very deplorable way of talking about Octavius. Sorry, talking about Lepidus, it's not Octavius. He's telling Octavius that he's an ass. So, when a burden of gold is put on the back of the ass takes it to the destination. So, does the owner of the ass share the gold with the ass? No, he doesn't. The ass is relieved of his burden and left to graze in the fields. And when Octavius says he is a brave soldier, so Mark Antony says, "My horse is also a brave soldier." Why? Because when people go to fight in wars, the cavalier army, so on horse riding, so the soldier is facing the enemy, so is the horse. So Mark Antony says, "It is a creature that I teach to fight." So he trains his horse how to face the battlefield, teaches him. In the same way, Lepidus also has to be trained. He needs to be trained, he needs to be taught, and he has no originality. So he tells Octavius, don't think of him as a human being, think of him just as a property. After this, we find Act 4, Scene 2, and the most important one is Act 4, Scene 3. In Act 4, Scene 2, we find Brutus and Lucius, Lucilius, they are discussing how Cassius had behaved with Lucilius. Because in recent times, everything is not going on fine or rather, in the relationship of Brutus and Cassius. So he wants to know from Lucilius, how did he behave? And Lucilius says that he behaved in a way a friend behaves when the relationship has gone cold. And then Pindarus comes. Pindarus is actually Cassius' slave. And when Cassius enters, immediately he starts blaming Brutus. Most noble brother, you have done me wrong. So he just starts his complaints. But here Brutus acts in a wise manner. He says that And he says that if you have any grievances, let's not speak it here in front of the armies, because they should see only love between. Otherwise, how will the two enemies fight together if the two generals are not friendly with each other? So Brutus gives a suggestion that let's move to our tent, and there you can speak your grievances, and I will give you a patient ear. So this is where Act 4, Scene 2 comes to an end. These two are short scenes, Act 4, Scene 1 and Act 4, Scene 2. Now comes the important one, Act 4, Scene 3. And I think this is quite probable. So Cassius keeps on. I said me. And Cassius keeps on complaining. Cassius keeps on complaining. Now, Brutus also is not the Brutus whom we have seen earlier. We have seen Brutus as a very gentle man, very sober, but for the first time, we see him also back answering Cassius, challenging him. Every whatever Cassius says, Brutus is answering him back. See the first one also, when Cassius says about Lucius Fella. So what does Brutus say? You wronged yourself to write in such a case. Not only that, in the very next speech he tells Cassius that you have an itching palm. So he directly charges or attacks Cassius. And then this line also, the name of Cassius honors this corruption, and chastisement thus hide his head. So whatever Cassius says, every answer or every reply, Brutus also attacks Cassius in the same way as Cassius attacks. This is very unlikely. Actually, here we find Brutus as a disillusioned person. When he had joined the conspiracy, he had thought that all these are similar in their thoughts. But later he realizes that no, they had all joined the conspiracy because they had some private or personal grievance against Caesar. They did not think of the Roman public when they had joined the conspiracy. They did not think of Rome as Brutus had done. So this speech of Brutus is important. Remember March, the Ides of March. Remember, did not great Julius bleed for justice's sake? So this full speech is very important. You can get an extract from here. And the next one you find Cassius challenging Brutus, but Brutus is not afraid. He rather accepts the challenge, which is a setback for Cassius. He he does not expect Brutus to be so rude, and he does not expect Brutus to be accepting his challenge. So he immediately changes his stance. And Brutus keeps on insulting, away, slight man, hear me, for I will speak. And Cassius, he doesn't know how to digest all these insulting remarks of Brutus because Brutus had never been so. He had always been a decent gentleman. He had never been rude. And now Brutus says that whenever you are angry, I will enjoy, I will use you for my merriment, and I will treat you as an object of ridicule. And then also he tells that you say you are a better soldier. Let it appear so. Make your wanting true. So when he tells this, immediately you see how Cassius changes his words. He had said, I am a soldier, I'm older in practice, abler than yourself. That means I'm more experienced, I'm more able. But now he changes his stand and he says, you wrong me every way. You wrong me, Brutus. I said an elder. He did not say elder. He said older in experience. That means more experienced, not a better. Did I say better? So when you say more experience, doesn't it sound as a better soldier? But he has changed his words. But see, at this moment, we find Brutus as if nothing affects him. He says, if you did, I care not. And finally, we find when, after a lot of speech, after a lot of insults towards Cassius, finally he cools down. So, this speech of Brutus, you have done that you should be sorry for. There is no Cassius in thy threat. This one is also very important. Why? Because he accuses Cassius. He says that I needed money to pay my soldiers, and that is why I asked you for money, but you refused it. So, if you had asked me for money, would I have refused you? And why did he himself? Why was he not able to raise money? Because he felt that this was not right. But we find the hypocrisy here in Brutus. He is not ready to uh, get money from the people, but he is ready to accept the money got in the same way from Cassius. And Cassius now defends and he says, no, I did not deny you money. And, and in this way, every speech is a fight. And finally, Cassius uses a very nice weapon. He becomes emotional and he says that Cassius is weary of this world. He is hated by the person whom he loves the most and all that. And then Brutus cools down and Brutus says, sheathe your dagger, be angry when you will. It shall have scope. So we find that yes, when Cassius gives this emotional speech, Brutus gets cooled. And just see what he says. O Cassius, you are yoked with a lamb that carries anger as the flint bears fire, who much enforced shows a hasty spark, and straight is cold again. So he compares himself to the flint. So the flint stones, when you rub it, there is a hasty spark. So he says that my anger is also like that. It remains for a brief moment and then it is gone. And now we find the Brutus whom we are accustomed to see. And after this, we get to know why Brutus had acted so rashly and in such a rude manner. Actually, he was upset by the news of Portia's death. And he confides this to Cassius, and they are now friends again. And after this, they call the two generals. So, in the meantime, a poet had come, and because he was worried whether the two generals are fighting, they are in a rough mood and they might do harm to themselves. But Brutus and Cassius shoos the person away or drives the person away. After that, Brutus tells Lucilius and Titinius to tell the commanders of their army to go back to their quarters. And after that, Cassius and Brutus, they are again the brothers-in-law, and they are discussing how to take charge, how they should proceed. And in the meantime, Messala comes, and Messala confirms the news of Portia's death. And not only that, he gives the news of how many people have been killed in Rome, and Cicero is one of them. Remember Cicero in Act 1, Scene 3. And after that, important is when they discuss whether they should stay at Sardis or they should move towards Philippi. So Cassius's opinion or Cassius's suggestion is that let us stay here at Sardis. So what does he say when Brutus asks him the reason? So he says, it is better that the enemy seek us. So shall he waste his means wearing his soldiers, doing himself offense, whilst we lying still are full of rest, defense, and nimbleness. So this is Cassius's reason for staying at Sardis. Let the enemy come and we'll fight them. Why? When they come all the way, they will be tired, and we will be fresh. We will be ready for action when they come. We will be ready to face them with our full strength. So Brutus hears the reason. Now this line is quite important. Good reasons must of force give place to better. You might get that extract and you might be asked a question. I'm not saying you will. You might be asked a question. What is the good reason Brutus talks of? The good reason has been offered by Cassius that let the army come to Sardis. And who is giving the better one? The better reason. So Brutus' suggestion is that they should march towards Philippi. And the reason which he gives, according to Brutus, is the better reason. The people betwixt Philippi and this ground do stand but in a forced affection. That means the people between Sardis and Philippi, the people, they are not in good relations with us. They are not happy with us. They are just siding with us under compulsion. They had refused to provide us with supplies. So, if Mark Antony's army is allowed to come, then these people who are not happy with us, they will join they will join the enemy army. So to stop them from joining the enemy army or Mark Antony's army, he wants to march towards Philippi. So these people will be at their backs. They wouldn't get the scope to join Mark Antony's army. And one thing of Brutus is whatever reason Cassius offers, Brutus always overhears it. Here we find him a dominant person. Like in when they were discussing who should be killed along with Caesar, Cassius had suggested that Mark Antony should be killed, but he immediately said no. In Act 3, Scene 1, you find Cassius does not want Mark Antony should be allowed to speak, but he overrules this. So you find these are the grave mistakes he commits. First, allowing him to live. Second, giving him the permission to speak. And this is one of the biggest reasons for the defeat of Brutus's army. If he had listened to Cassius and eliminated Mark Antony, they wouldn't have had to face such a situation. So this one, under your pardon, you must not decide till we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So he feels that we have got as much support as we can. There is nothing more to get. So if we take the advantage and attack now, it will be good for us, or we might lose if we lose the opportunity, we might never get a better chance. And after this, what is important is the coming of the ghost of Caesar. This is also important in this scene, the ghost of Caesar. So it could be an illusion. Brutus's taxed mind, overburdened mind might be seeing an illusion of Caesar. This could be, or it could be Shakespeare's use of supernatural that the ghost of Caesar really did come and visit Brutus. So when Brutus says, why comest thou, ghost, to tell thee thou shalt see me at Philippi. And why? I will see thee at Philippi then. And then the ghost. So this is as if the ghost gives a warning to Brutus that I will see you at Philippi means in the battle. When the battle is going on, that means their doom is decided. Why? Because Caesar, of course, wouldn't come to offer a friendly hand. If he comes, he wants a revenge. And his visiting them at the battlefield means only that in the battle, Brutus and his allies, they will be defeated. So this is all of Act 4, Scene 2. So Act 4, Scene 3. So as I said, Act 4, Scene 3 is very important. In the same way as Act 3, Scene 1. So Act 5, I'll do in my next lecture. Okay. So yes, bye for the time being.